Hello, everyone. It's another beautiful Saturday, and I'm so excited to be here again. This is my Mental Health Matters Facebook group, and we are all about everything about increasing mental health awareness and on our path to erasing mental health stigma. I have the pleasure of having a wonderful guest in the house with me today as we are talking about autism. So please, if you're alone, try to invite somebody, invite a friend, invite your spouse, your siblings, let them come and learn about autism. The person I have in the house today is a guest here. I like to start by letting everybody know when I have a group member in the house. She is not just a member of this group, she is an active member of this Facebook group. And I cannot thank her enough. I'm just telling her this. I really appreciate your support. You've been one of those that keep cheering me on, and I really appreciate that. And I want everybody to know that I think we should do this disclosure now.
I
This
think
is
so.
really close to home. She's my sister-in-law, and the person she'll be talking about today is my nephew. And I want everybody to just learn, okay? It is a very high level of vulnerability to share one's personal story, especially if it is not, some a word or things like that you have to share your deepest a deepest part of you with people. And this is for nothing but to help and support other people and let people know that they're not alone. So please join me in welcome my wonderful guest, Mr. Tayo Igmitade. You're welcome, sis.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. It's my pleasure to be here, and I really love what you're doing on this page, in this group, just raising awareness of mental health issues, and especially amongst Black and Brown people, because of religious and cultural reasons. We don't always take our mental health, seriously, and there are lots of stigmas, labels, and beliefs that we need to get rid of in order to progress. So, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So, without taking any more time and letting you just share this journey with us, and we'll just soak in as much as we can, I will leave the stage and you would have it and talk to us about this interesting journey of yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Dio. So, hello everyone again. Like Dio has introduced me, my name is Tayo Bintade. I'm a mother of twin boys. One is autistic and the other one is neurotypical. Neurotypical just means that your brain works in the way that it's expected to behave. I don't like the word normal because what is normal? Everyone's different. So I'll try to keep it as brief as possible and I'll try to stick to what I agreed to do. Basically, my story, my sons are now 30 years old, so they're adults now. So by the time David was diagnosed, autism wasn't as commonly known as it is now. I hadn't heard of it, and I'm someone who reads voraciously. So basically, he was diagnosed as autistic. I did not know what that was. I had to do a lot of research by myself. And even before he was diagnosed, when I started to look and see why was he behaving in such an odd manner, and I came across the term autism, I asked people, do you think he could be autistic? They thought I said artistic. So that shows the level of awareness back in the early 90s. So basically, today, what I want to talk about is how I learned to appreciate, to assist, and to advocate for my son. So we all know about the 5 stages of grief. So when David was first diagnosed, my first reaction was like, no, it's not true. Must be something else. I thought Gruyere. I thought, oh, twins speak late. They have delayed speech. That's what it is. And Jonathan's just picking up a bit faster than David. So my first response was denial. Then it was, why me? How hard is it to have to go through pregnancy, go to term with a baby, and have a child who is healthy and normal? How hard is that? Why me? What have I done? What have I done to deserve this? What has this poor child done to deserve this? And then after that, it's bargaining. So I'm praying, Lord, please, whatever you want me to do, I will do. Just heal my child, make him better, make him like his brother, And then after that comes depression, when the reality sinks in that nothing's going to change. He's not going to get better. This is who he is, and that's what you have to deal with. And then after a while, acceptance comes. Okay, this is my child. How can I help him? How can I help him to flourish and to thrive and to achieve the things that he wants to do? This was very difficult for me because I had identical twins. So it was bittersweet because I can see Jonathan developing normally, achieving all his milestones, doing everything that's expected of him. And David, they seem to be progressing at the similar rates. Then all of a sudden, David starts regressing. He starts losing his speech. He starts displaying odd behaviors, Jonathan is toilet trained, David isn't. And David didn't get out of nappies until he was 6 years old, which is hard. But I am grateful because I know children that age 15, 16, they're still doubly incontinent. And, I just thank God for the milestones that David achieved. And then learning to appreciate your child. I'm sure that Dio can attest when she comes back on that the twins, and especially David, were very handsome boys. And David was very, very charming. Jonathan was more reserved. He was more clinging. He was more quieter. David was the extrovert, the sociable, the fun-loving child that everybody loved. And oh gosh, he had a smile that could charm the pants off you. He was very, very charming. As he's grown older, they're still good-looking lads, but they've lost their youthful good looks, their youthful sweetness and cuteness. But hey, that's life. So I learned to appreciate David. And how did I do that? You just, everybody's different and everybody's unique. And you just learn to embrace your child's passions. David has a passion he loves coaches. He loves traveling, which is good because I do as well. He loves music, especially gospel music. He loves going to church. I mean, David's a child that I would punish by saying, if you don't behave, you're not going to church. I would threaten him. But that was David for you. And embrace their interests. David is somebody that there's a term for his skill, which I knew what he could do, but I didn't know there was a word for it until about 5 years ago. David is a calendrical calculator. What does that mean? You might be wondering. David is someone who can, if you give him a date, he will tell you the day of the week that it falls on. Myself and Jonathan found this out by accident. I think I was just trying to figure out, I had something happening and I was like, oh, what date is 12th of September? And this is probably in June. And David just said, Wednesday. Myself and Jonathan looked at each other, went and checked the calendar. Turns out he was right. And then we started asking him more dates. And he got them all. Then we started asking him dates in the future and in the past. And then we realized that he wasn't getting all the dates. And then I realized that he didn't understand the concept of a leap year. So I sat him down and explained to him that every 4 years, February has 29 days. So that makes it a leap year. And after that, he gets it right. But sometimes people bother him when they find out that he can do this. They ask him so many times and he gets bothered and he starts giving them the wrong days just to throw them off, I guess. He has every right to be, not want to do something if he doesn't want to, like we all do. And David is someone he loves fairness. So if you offer somebody a cup of tea, he expects everybody to be offered a cup of tea. If you offer someone 2 biscuits, he expects everybody in the vicinity to be offered 2 biscuits. So yeah, that's David for you. He has a very warm and loving heart. He's loud and he's a big lad. He's just over 6 foot. And so it can be a bit scary for people when they see him. And because he's not very articulate in his speech and he's quite loud, people are intimidated by him. They're scared of him, but he's a pussycat. David gets on very, very well with young children, funnily enough, because I think they don't fear him. Sometimes they're a bit curious that, oh, this big guy here, he's not talking properly, but he seems to be fun. I remember there was a time my friend Primrose and her son Ethan must have been about 7 or 8, and David's about 15. I don't know what they're doing. And I'm calling both of them. I'm telling off this little boy and this big lad, telling them both off. They're both getting in trouble together. But that's David for you. But you learn. And the next thing I had to do was learn how to assist him. You know, as mothers, we are caretakers for our children, and we're there to help them to achieve their best potential. So you have to know your child. You know, the Bible says that husbands should live with their wives according to knowledge. And I think it's the same with parents and children. You need to know your child's likes and dislikes. David is someone that doesn't like crowded places. So I know to avoid crowded places. David is someone who he likes his routine. He doesn't like surprises. He likes to know where we're going and what's going to happen. So if you don't prepare him for that, you're likely to get a behavior because he doesn't know what's going on and he doesn't like that feeling of uncertainty. So, you know, if something out of the ordinary is going to happen, you need to prepare him. And this is where resources like social stories or social scripts come in helpful. You just write down in simple words, not too complicated and not long sentences, what is going to happen. So, for example, if Debbie's going to visit a new school, we say, oh, I'll tell him 2-3 days in advance. Oh, David, do you know what we're going to do on Wednesday? We're going to visit a school. This is a big school. Maybe you'll go there. We're going to see the teachers and they're going to talk to you and they're going to find out what you like and what you don't like. Okay? This is going to happen tomorrow. Sorry, this is going to happen on Wednesday, and David and Mommy are going to go together, okay? Then I'll repeat this, reinforce this until the day. And in the morning, David knows, okay, we're not going to our usual place. We're going to a new school. We're going to see some teachers and they're going to talk to me. So he knows what's going to happen and he's going to be reassured. And also, I think another point that you need to do is to learn how your child learns best. So David is a perfectionist, you know, and a people pleaser. So I understand because I'm a bit similar. So that's a difficult combination. So if David's learning a new skill, it's very difficult. I'll tell David, just wait, just watch Mommy. Mommy will show you how to do it. And I'll do it. And then, okay, it's David's turn. And then David will do it that way. He doesn't like being told what to do. He doesn't like being told that he's getting something wrong. If he thinks he's getting something wrong, he gets very, very upset. I'm like, no, David, it's okay. Everybody's learning. Nobody gets it right the same way. The first first time, you know, just do it again and it's going to be okay. And the third thing I wanted to talk about is how I learned to advocate for my child. I'll tell you a funny story. In the UK, I guess it's everywhere, but in the UK where I'm based, and especially when it's true now, it's very difficult to get children into schools of the parents' choice, especially when they have special educational needs. These places are like gold dust, very, very difficult. So after nursery, for the first term, David did not go to school. Now, in the UK, children are meant to be in primary school, full-time education. By the September, they are 5. So Jonathan had started school. David was not in school. I am back and forth with the local authority. I am back and forth with the education department, trying to get David into a school of my choice, which was in a different local authority to where I lived. In the end, they suggested that David go to a school for general disabilities. So it's not a specialist school. They had physical disabilities, sensory disabilities, learning disabilities, the whole range. I wasn't very happy with this, but I agreed to go and meet the headmistress. And the headmistress, she sat down with me, she met with me, and David was extremely hyperactive, running around like, if any of you remember the Tasmanian devil, that was David. Very, 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 very fidgety. And she said, no, we can't take him. We have too many frail children in this school, and it will be a danger to them. So David was not in school. So what I decided to do, I went to visit my local MP, member of parliament, to ask for his assistance. So remember I told you David's hyperactive? Do you know what I did? I plied him with Coca-Cola. Gave him a full can of Coca-Cola to drink about half an hour before we were due to go to see the MP. I went to the surgery. This is where if you have any problems, you go to the MP and you talk to them and they see what they can do to help. So I went to his clinic, sat down. I let David do his thing. Oh my gosh, that poor man. David was in his office, papers everywhere, books everywhere. There I am sitting down, with my worries me voice saying, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to do. I'm working full time. I'm not one of those mothers that you see that is on benefits. I'm just playing the system here. So I'm just, I just can't cope anymore. I am so tired. I don't know what to do. He won't go to school. We've identified this school is good for him, and nothing's happening, and I just can't cope. And by the end of the appointment, the MP assured me that he would see what he would do. I should leave it with him. And within 2 weeks, the process started. The ball started rolling for me to get David into the school of my choice. And that's how David got into Queen's Mill School. And basically, I learned as you go along. Nobody teaches you to be a parent, and nobody teaches you to be a parent of a special needs child. You learn as you go along. And basically, what you need to do is you need to identify what do you need for your child. For me at that time, it was education. It could be speech therapy. It could be physical therapy. It could be counseling. It could be anything. Identify the needs. Then you need to do your research and go out there and find out what is there. Find out what is there. Find out what you're eligible. Yes, what you're eligible for. Because sometimes there are things out there, but in the UK, we call it a postcode lottery. So I'm very fortunate. My local authority is fairly good for children with autism and special needs. Other local authorities are not so fortunate. So find out what's out there, find out what you're eligible to, find out your rights. And the most important thing is you should make sure you have a network of people around you to support you, because believe you me, you cannot do it on your own. You can't. You cannot. If I had to do this by myself, I assure you, I would have had a nervous breakdown long time ago. By the time David got into school, primary school, the social worker had spoken to me and identified that I was suffering from clinical depression. I wasn't even aware. All I knew was that I was tired. I only had the strength to get up in the morning, get the boys ready for whatever they needed to do, go to work, make sure they were fed and sleep. I did not have the energy to do anything else. It was, and if you'd asked me, are you depressed? I would say, no, I'm just tired. But I was suffering from clinical depression and I didn't even realize it. But really, really important is a network. I am so grateful to my siblings who rallied around me. I'm so grateful to my spiritual family, my church family, my brothers and sisters, my siblings, their friends, they rallied around. And some of those people were still friends till today, 30 years later, because, they were there for me when I needed them. When the twins were in play school, I worked a shift job. I was a postwoman. I worked in Royal Mail. And what would happen was in the morning, I'd have the kids. I'll take them to the play group. I would make sure that when they came back when they finished, the food was ready. Everything was ready for them. And between my siblings and my siblings' friends, sibling family that lived near me, whoever got home first would pick up the twins, bring them home, and look after them until I got home. So my brothers, my sister, my extended family, so Felicia, Baba, Will, you, I thank you so much. Timmy, thank you so much. When I worked nights, he would drop me, he would pick me up, drop the twins at my sister's place, take me to work. After work, he'd take me to my sister's place to pick up the twins and come back home. So really, when they say it takes a village, it really, really, really does. It really does. So that's it. Your network. So your friends, your family, your spiritual family, your sisters from another misters, your brothers from another mother, all of them. Don't be shy. I'm a very reserved person naturally. I'm not outgoing. I'm actually naturally very, very shy. I had to unlearn all that for my son, and I'll do it in a heartbeat again. The other thing that you need to do is find out where support groups are. So I joined Contact a Family, and they will signpost you to benefits that you're entitled to. So I applied for disability living allowance. I did not know I was entitled to that. They told me that, I think David was at the age of 3, and I just mentioned it, that, oh gosh, the boy is still in nappies. It's nasty business, changing a big boy, and it's so expensive. They said, oh, no. If your child is over, I can't remember what age it was, you're entitled to free nappies, from the Health Vista. I didn't know this. So I got free nappies, and they will identify charities that will provide you things. So, David was very hyperactive, extremely hyperactive. When people see him now, they cannot believe that this boy can sit still, and, conduct himself in the manner in which he does. And we used to go through a lot of furniture, but there are charities out there that will provide furniture for, beds, washing machines, beddings, clothes for children with special needs. And I wasn't aware of that. So Contact a Family in the UK was the organization. Also join your autism organization. So the National Autistic Society, they will point you to resources, they will signpost you to services, and they will do all sorts. And then another thing that we need to do, and this is difficult, and trust me, I know, do not alienate the professionals in your life. We need to leverage them and use them for our benefits. So I mentioned before that I'm naturally quiet. I'm reserved. I don't like making waves. I don't like making trouble, So I'm trying to get results for my children. I'm not getting a response. I speak up, and I'm labeled an angry Black woman. I'm like, you don't know me. I'm not. When David finished secondary school, he spent a year extra. So he did year 12 and 13, which is sixth form years, and then he did year 14, which I didn't know was a thing. And then during his transition, the social worker, Tom, wherever you are, I am forever grateful to you. He worked so hard. He worked so hard to put something in place for David. And he told me he was leaving, but he worked hard. He set everything up. He set up all the places we were going to visit, all the facilities, the colleges. He set everything up. And then he left, and he told me, okay, I'm leaving, but this is what I've sorted. He sent me a letter, and he outlined everything that he had set up for me. And then he left. And then I was told that, oh, someone will be in touch with you. So a week's going, nothing. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months. I'm like, David's coming home. He's going to be finishing school in the next 2-3 months, and they haven't got anything set up. I will have to give up work, and I've always worked. I can't not work. So what's going to happen? I start calling social services. Every time I phone, I speak to a different person. I don't get an answer. Oh, someone's going to call you back. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'll take your details. Someone will call you back. I'll call them next week. Oh, I'll take your details. No, I called last week. I spoke to so-and-so. Don't you have anything on your system? No, sorry, we don't. I was vexed. So I do what I did best. I wrote a letter. To the head of social services, learning disabilities, transition. And then I copied it into the top person for social services in Wandsworth. And I sent the letter off. I didn't proofread it. I didn't check it. I didn't make it nice. I wrote it in anger and I sent it off. And before I knew it, I was getting a phone call. I was at work. I received a phone call. Oh, hello, Mr. Guntade. I'm so-and-so from Wandsworth Learning Disability. We received your letter, blah, blah, blah. We're so sorry. Oh, we don't mean to fob you off. We're not fobbing you off. I assure you, we're taking David's case seriously. And then things started moving. And then the social worker that visited me at home afterwards, she had her letter in her file. And she said, oh, I believe that everybody should receive a good service. It's not just the people who shout the loudest. I said, excuse me, I'm not someone who shouts. I was frustrated. I have been banging on the door and nobody's been answering me. And, well, and then everything Tom had set up, she said, oh, we need to go here, we need to go there. I said, no. This is what I've agreed with Tom. And, you know, he understood, he talked me through the process, taught me the pros and the cons. He listened to me, you know, he listened to David. He even talked to Jonathan and basically, yeah. So I've just seen a comment from Dio and she said, what about countries or places where there's no established support for families who are autistic? That's a very good question. And that's a very difficult question as well, because I know, and I'll be the first to say that I'm very fortunate and I'm very blessed to be in the UK, you know, where we have the resources. It's still hard here, but you can get support. And I was thinking, I have been thinking about this over the past couple of days, and I've been researching, and there was a Nigerian Autistic Society. I don't know what happened to it. The last mention I've seen of it was 2017. And I know that one of Dio's very good friends, Bolatito Fadeke, I can't remember her surname. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. She has a program on YouTube called Sped Every Day. And she talks about children with special educational needs. And she talks about autism and the whole range. And, you know, some of the clips are 30 minutes long, some are 9 minutes, some are 10 minutes. So anyone who has access to the internet in Nigeria, thank you. Bolatito Fatoki, thank you, Dio. Yes, anybody who has access to the internet, if you check out her YouTube channels, it's a rich resource. And she talks about different things, different resources, different things that you can do to assist your child, to improve your child's prospects. So please check that out. And I will send Dio a few links to put in the chat. And, you know, it's not something, you know, I haven't been to Nigeria. The last time I was in Nigeria was 2019. And when I go, it's usually to see my mother. So I haven't really, I must confess and admit guilt that I haven't really checked out to see what is out there. But now that the twins are older, they're adults, I have the time, I still have the energy and I have the resources. That is probably something I can look into, you know, to try and assist my fellow mothers out there in Nigeria and in West African countries who are struggling. Because believe you me, I know the struggle is hard. You know, I'm in the UK, which is supposed to be an enlightened country. And I know the stigma, I know the labeling, I know the attitudes you get from religious institutes. So I talk to, most of us here are people of faith. I'm a Christian. I take my Christianity very seriously. And I do know that a lot of Christians, Muslims, Jewish people, Hindus, a lot of them don't go to church or the synagogue or the temple because of how their children are treated. And, I don't know if I was just completely ignorant or naive or what. It's the grace of God that I'm still a Christian today, because some of the attitudes that I got when I was in church, they weren't very nice. You get told, oh, there's sin in your life, that's why you have a child like this. They're like, oh, you're not praying enough, if you were praying enough, if you prayed, that child will be healed. They'll tell you your child has an evil spirit. So you can imagine how that feels. When the one place where you feel that you can take refuge from the world, they're the one heaping all this blame on you, and you already feel guilty. So it's very, very hard. And then culturally, we're in the 21st century, but there's still a lot of superstitious and cultural beliefs that surround children with any kind of disability, any kind of special needs. And it's just wrong. Even in the Bible, when Jesus healed the blind man, the disciples asked him, who was it that sinned, that this man was born blind? Was it him or was it his parents? And Jesus said, no, just for God's name to be glorified. And I believe that David, in his way, leads people to God. David is, I don't even know what words to say, but David is a blessed child. And I named them David and Jonathan because I wanted them to be best friends. But David actually means beloved of God, which I didn't know at the time. And he truly is. He truly is. Everywhere he goes, once people get to know him, they love him. I tell you, in my church, more people know his name than they do my name. David is very sociable, not like me. He goes up to people and says hello. I'm always like, David, come here. Don't bother the nice lady. Leave them alone. But David goes up to his people, says hello, hello, hello. But yeah. So I try to keep it brief because I don't want to bore you, and I could be here all day. But yeah, I hope that it was useful to you. I hope that you learned something. There's something that you've taken away from it, and yeah, I call myself an expert by experience because yeah, I learned by going through it. I can't hear you, sis.
Thank you so much for sharing all this. And it's even me getting to know a lot about my nephew, through what you said, and knowing what hearing what you've gone through, because even as family, we're worlds apart.
Yeah.
And you having to cope with all that, it's really a lot. And I can just imagine what other parents, mothers like you are going through. I have like 3 questions I want to ask you real quick, and I would like you to speak to those ones as much as you can. The first is those that have autistic children who are aggressive.
Okay.
That behavior. I mean, let me not say who are aggressive, but who sometimes, express themselves in the form of aggression, and people around don't understand. How do you, what was your experience, and how would you tell people around to support parents when their child is showing this kind of behavior?
Okay.
That's number one. And then the second one will be, you talked about having network of friends and people around that we can seek help from. My question will be, at what point do you start letting people know that you need support for your child? Because like you mentioned, even in the church, you got those weird comments and responses to what was going on with David. So how do you, to what extent should people reach out to family members? At what point should you bring your family members in to your child's life? And should you even do that? I'll ask the third one after
Okay.
you answered.
Okay, first question. So David's diagnosis was at the time, I believe, if I remember rightly, classic autism with severe behavior problems. So David displayed challenging behavior. And a lot of it is frustration because he couldn't communicate. And I think this was exacerbated by the fact that he can see his brother, his double, doing things that he can't do. So he acted out a lot. So as a parent, my first instinct was to try to control behavior, But one thing I've learned that a tantrum is different from a meltdown. A tantrum is a child trying to get attention, wants to get something. He wants something, and he's displaying this behavior in order to get a reaction and to get something that he wants. A meltdown happens when a child is overwhelmed. So a lot of our autistic children, they suffer from sensory processing disorder. So it could be the lights are too bright, the sounds they're too loud. For example, maybe the tap is dripping and you and I can barely hear it. Barely, just about. Sometimes we hear it and it registers that, oh, that tap's dripping, I need to go and sort it out. But for someone with autism, what they hear is splash, splash, splash. And then colors are too bright. Smells are too smelly. Yes. So it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming and it's exhausting for them, right? And our children, especially girls with autism, they know how to mask. So they know that, okay, this is how I feel. But if I show it, people are going to look at me in a funny way, and I don't want that. So they will hold everything under control.
Mm-hmm.
Boys, not so much. So it manifests in challenging behavior.
Mm-hmm.
David had a lot of self-injurious behavior.
Mm.
So he used to slap his face like this. And when so like in my book.
Like in the book, yes. Yeah, when you talk about the book. Uh-huh.
So he would slap his face a lot. And as he grew older, it was very, very distressing to see. Because you could see he's big, you could see he's strong, and you could see that this must be causing some kind of damage, and it did. So David is partially sighted. He's blind in one eye because he's detached his retina from and he also suffers from partial seizures, epilepsy, as a result. So basically what we learned with David is, okay, David, calm down, give him space. Don't crowd around them. It makes it worse. They don't like the attention and, they can't help themselves. Once they've gotten to that stage, you have to let it run its course. Give them space. Then with David, it's breathe. David, and we do it together. David, breathe in. So this is what I'll do with David. David, I'm going to count to 4, breathe in. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I get him to sit on the stairs. If David's getting upset, David, come and sit on the stairs. And if he's still slapped, I said, okay, slap your leg. Don't slap your face, slap your leg. Slap your leg. So you have to learn what works with your child. But yeah, it is not easy. And it's not easy. There's no easy way. And you were saying, I've got an example, fairly recent. This is 2019. David, like I said, David loves holidays. So where he lives now, he lives in a home for young people with autism, but he's home every weekend. But he goes on holiday every year. So they went to Spain, and usually he goes with 2 support workers. He pays for them. Usually 2 men or a man and a woman. This time it was 2 women. So they're in Spain, as usual. David is a seasoned traveler. He knows how to behave on holidays. But I think it was lunchtime. They were in the lift and David was getting excited. I was saying, lunch. He's not very articulate. So he was getting excited. So people started looking at him funny in the lift and moving away from him. They got upset. So he started hitting himself. And then everybody started panicking, and, crowding him. No, give him space. Crowding him, trying to hold him down. And he knocked somebody's glasses off. And the police were called in a strange country.
Oh.
When they called me, I cried.
Oh.
I still get emotional when I think about it because they arrested my son.
Oh.
They handcuffed my son, right? And I was like, thank God. God was looking over him that day. Because if he had carried on with the behavior, God knows he could have been a statistic, an aggressive black man in a Spanish jail. You know, I just thank God that God was there for him that day. And eventually, so the staff, the key workers were trying to say, no, he's not aggressive, he's not a danger to anyone, he just has learning disabilities, he can't communicate. Eventually they got someone from the hospital came and examined, and they said no, and they explained, but he had to leave the hotel, they had to find another hotel. And and he hasn't been on holiday since, because he's had an incident. The home where he lives can't get travel insurance for him.
Oh.
And David loves it. So, these are things. So a lot of my friends, they wonder, they're like, David's cool. Why are you so hyper vigilant? Why are you always on his case? Leave him, relax. I know you don't know. This is a young black man. We know what's happening in the Western world to our young black men. He can't speak for himself. I have to be careful. I have to watch out for him. I have to pray for him. I have to, because, I don't want him to be a statistic.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky one. But basically, you have to give them space. If they're already expressing the behavior, just, give them space, let them come out of it. But you have to learn to spot before they get to that stage. Learn to spot the signs and try to do something to divert. So breathing for David is breathing. He likes music, play some music for him. Just divert him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people around, because I encourage people who don't have autistic family members or children to listen to this, because they can help a lot. What they know can make life easier for families who have someone with autism. So, just knowing these things, I think that people should quickly look at whoever is around them for cues, like, is it leaving, or help with this, or shut the door, or take something dangerous away
from them. What do you want me to do? Shall I get into the water? Tell me what to do.
Yes.
And just tell me what to
do. Or the parent, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So the one thing that came to mind was talking about he's not able to express himself. A lot of people with who are autistic have issue with communicating verbally, and I know that you are a sign language specialist. If you can just maybe before we leave, if you can just do some sign language, because I wish that more people would benefit from this. And the question that you get asked most times is, did you learn sign language because of David, or how did that come about?
Yes, people do. A lot of people assume that I learned it because of David. I didn't. I actually learned it because of my sister. My younger sister's deaf.
Would you do the sign as you're talking?
Yeah.
Would you do the sign language as you're talking?
Okay.
Please.
So many people wonder why I learned sign language. People think because of my son, David. No, because of my sister. My younger sister, Tina, she's deaf. She had meningitis when she was 11 months and became profoundly deaf. So that's why I learned sign language. For David, in the UK, we use something called Makaton, which is based on simple signs. David uses a mixture of Makaton and sign language because my sister looked after him a lot when he was growing up. And he's also had deaf support workers as well, because he likes them. But he's used picture exchange communication. So that's just a visual way of helping children with learning difficulties communicate, and signs. And then he writes things down. And because I understand him and his brother understands him fairly well. But sometimes it's like, David, I don't know what you're saying, spell it. So he'll spell it for me, or he'll spell it as much as he knows. Then, oh, okay. The Passion of the Christ, Trafalgar Square. There's no Passion play this year. So.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Thank you. Well, so you talk that experience that got you into writing a letter to the authority. I think that we had another mom on the show sometime that talked about his about her child who has I'm not sure if it's schizophrenia or that had something that had a mental health issue, and she also had to write letters. She had to write to the school authority. She had to, really get involved so that they know her child ahead and stuff. So here, I want you to address two sets of people: parents and knowing their rights, like we talked about yesterday, and advocating for their child. We don't have to stop at just complaining or looking out. We all have a voice. Like we can write, we can call our
Yeah.
representatives, we can in any country for that matter.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we just take that step and do something. Whether they're going to listen or not, I think it's better for it to be on record that we did
Yes.
this, so we have a reference. And the second group I want you to address are those who are leaders, because we have a lot of people in leadership positions, political positions, and religious leaders in this group, and that will watch this. Can you address this two group of people on how to come together to support autistic people?
I'll try my best. So, as parents, as guardians, caregivers, loved ones, yes, right. Please write. So, I'm someone who, believe it or not, finds it difficult to speak to large groups of people. I know, strange, isn't it? I've learned to be brave. That's all it is. So, writing was fairly easy for me. But the thing is, yes, write. Find out. So that's the importance of networking and knowing the right people to speak to. Find out who the people are that can make the difference. Right? We're in lockdown now, so it's difficult. But be friendly to the gatekeepers, the receptionists, the cleaning staff, the janitors. Be friendly to them because they can block your access. So, and remember, you're doing this for your child. So, bite your tongue. Be nice. All those angry words that you want to say, just keep them in. Look at the end goal. You have to befriend these professionals. Some of them, it's just a job for them, but some of them really care. So just befriend them. Be reasonable. Be reasonable. Just understand they have a job to do. And sometimes a soft word. The Bible says a soft answer turneth away wrath. Just speak to them nicely. Be personable. Be friendly. You say, I understand you're difficult, but it's really hard for me. It's really hard for my family. It's really hard for his younger brother, his older sister. We need this. Please help. So make friends with them. And so, yes. And if you find it difficult to write, these support groups, these associations that I talked about, they're the ones who told me about disability leave allowance. I could fill in the form myself. The other people that weren't confident, they will help them fill it in. They'll sit down. So the support groups and the organization, the national associations, join them. They are sources of information, resources. Today is 2020, 2021. This is the age of petitions. You can start petitions to get the government to take action. Talk to your local MPs if you're in the UK, because that's what they're there for. They're there to serve the constituents. Tell them about your concerns. Tell them what's going on. Tell them, what you need. Get help.
MPs like what are MPs?
Members of Parliament.
Members. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Parliament.
And then yes. And for example, and if you can't do it, get your brother, get your sister, your husband, your wife, your cousin, the person that you know is very articulate. This is one of the reasons why I'm currently training to be a peer advocate. I want to be someone that I wanted that time. Someone who's there for me, someone who can help me speak up, someone who, when I'm afraid to say, will say, oh, by the way, she needs this. someone that will support you, will hold your hand and be with you every step of the way, so you know you're not alone.
Right.
So you can seek out parent advocates. If you have people in your friendship group, your family group, your church group that are good at writing letters, that are good at articulating themselves, ask them to help. And you ask the question, at what point do you involve your family? So I will say was a very proud person, very self-reliant, very independent, very, I can do everything myself. If people offer to help, don't say no. Don't say no. Some people want to help, they don't know what to do. If people offer to help, so some people they don't know what to do with David. They can take Jonathan for the afternoon, so you have time with David one-on-one. That's fine. Some people, they can handle David. Oh, I'll take the twins. You go and have some time with your friends. I have people in church that when we go to weddings, some of the brothers in the church will take David. So I could be able to sit with my friends, relax, chat, have a nice time, and not worry what was happening with David. So it could be simple things. It could be maybe offering to do the shopping for them, because, you can't take your children with you because they'll cause a scene. It could be anything. And the people that are a bit more, so if you have people in your life that are, so for example, I had a friend who was a nurse. She was a mental health nurse. Shalita, if you're around, I love you. She's come back to the States now, so I haven't seen her for many years, but we still keep in contact sporadically. She's the one who told me that, oh, you can get a house with a garden and David can have his own room because he's got special needs. This is what you need to do. I didn't know. She told me. And that's how I got where I am now. Before I was in 2-bedroom, just one room for me and one room for the twins. But now I'm in a 3-bedroom. So they each had a room each. So, your friends, and sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes your friends spot things before you do. Because having been through it, I've been in that situation for two different people. I've spotted something and I haven't quite known how to approach it. And I've spoken to them and said, listen, this is what I've noticed. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm just, because of David, I'm just seeing things everywhere, but just go check it out. And I was right. And, just support them whatever way you can. But it's very, very difficult because, everybody wants a so-called perfect child. And when you get a child that you perceive is not what you expect, it's very, very difficult to come to terms with. And if people notice it and you're not ready, you won't hear.
Yeah.
But if anybody offers help, just take it and just tell them what they can do to help you.
Good. Thank you so much. This is the point where I want to talk about my favorite book right now. And this book is about David and Jonathan.
It is.
And it's an experience that she had. I went through a series of emotions reading this, as an aunt myself and even as a parent, So please, this is a book. You can get it on Amazon. I got mine on Amazon. You can make this a gift. It is really good. My kids read it before I did. And I just think it's a good way to introduce what happened, some of those things that happen to autistic children, and some of the experiences that parents of autistic child go through. So please buy this book, order it online, and then we also need votes to get this book into a category or something so that it will really get circulated everywhere. Thanks so much for doing this. I think it's a lot of work went into this. I have a number of family members who just wrote and published books recently, and I know it's a lot of work. It's on my bucket list to write a book. So tell us about this briefly, and would you just round up by addressing leaders in the group on what to do?
Okay.
So, and then we will see everyone next week.
Okay, thanks, Dio. So this book, this is an experience that we went through when the twins were about 8 or 9, I believe. And It was at a seaside, but this seaside wasn't in the UK. It was in France, and yes, and this book I wrote for siblings because sometimes we focus so much on our special child that the siblings tend to get ignored or left out. So this book explores the complex relationship that siblings have when you have a special needs child. So yeah, so basically I talk about a brief description of what autism is, because I just want young children to be exposed to it and know what autism is and recognize it and not to be surprised. And basically they can yeah, you know, children are very resilient and children learn very quickly, so they won't be surprised and they can accept them and appreciate them. So just talking about things that happen when you have an autistic sibling. So for example, this is David, he's stimming. So this is Joshua stimming on the coach. So he's getting up, he's back and forwards, he's covering his ears, making a little bit of noise. So people are looking, and look at his poor brother. He's embarrassed. He's embarrassed. And then his friends are asking him, what's wrong with your brother? He's like, there's nothing wrong with my brother. He's autistic. So those kind of mixed emotions that you're embarrassing me. But what do you mean there's something wrong with him? There's nothing wrong with him. And then something happens. Something happens. And this actually did happen. And that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil the story.
Don't spoil it. No spoiler.
So please, it's on Amazon. And yes, I'd appreciate it if you bought it. And what Dio alluded to, I'm in the running for best book in a children's category, but it's quite competitive. There's quite a few books in that category. So I would appreciate any votes that you could give me, and we'll put the link in the chats later on. But thank you so much for that. Leaders, listen, you can make or break. You can make things easier or you can make things difficult. My previous church, my first day in that church, I had come from a church where the pastor had told me that David needed to take a holiday from church.
No way.
Yes, and that is why I left. Yes. So I visited. So I had a friend, Alex, in this church, and I was like, "Oh, where's your church? What's it like?" Blah blah blah. He said, "Fine." So we visited church. Coming in, the twins were 5 at this time. 5, so still early in the diagnosis. I'm still very timid, wants to melt into the background person, and praise and worship is going on. The pastor was leading the worship. David was so excited. He ran across the stage and ran down. So I was mortified. The pastor just looked at him and they carried on as if nothing happened. And that Pastor Marty Carnegie, it's because of him I'm still a Christian. Because yes, you know, he didn't treat David any differently to any other child. If David made noise in the congregation and people complained, he would tell them to leave him alone. He's a child of God. The Bible says we are to make a joyful noise to the Lord. You know, and that makes a difference, because I haven't seen another autistic parent in the church that I have attended. And I know a lot of people who say they don't go to church because of the treatment they get from church, from church leaders, from the congregation and church leaders. And, you know, I have heard preaching from churches which isn't sound. So leaders, you have a lot of responsibility. You have a lot of authority. Your congregants take their lead from you. You know, the people that you serve, they take their lead from you. Remember, you know, I'm talking about the Bible, but I'm sure all the Holy Scriptures, they have similar tenets. They have similar teachings. You know, says that we should look after the widows, the orphans, the destitute, the strangers, the outcast. You know, the church is meant to be a haven. It's meant to be a place where you can find solace. It's meant to be a place that, okay, I know the whole world out there is against me, but here I can get some relief. So leaders, please look into your hearts. and look into your scriptures and see what the Bible says. And please be compassionate to these parents because they're trying their best. You know, they want some spiritual help or guidance. Over the years, not so much now, although I have seen a couple of incidents last year. And I've read many news stories about autistic parents that have killed their children and themselves. And people have said they're so wicked, they're this, they're that. I said, no, you haven't walked in their shoes. You do not know how hard it is. You don't know what it's like. You know, it's a sad thing, but most marriages break up when you have a special needs child. So when I see a marriage that is intact, you know, I praise God, I praise the mother, and I praise the father, because emotionally, I think mothers are stronger than the men when it comes to their child. Because the men, this is just my opinion, so don't take it as gospel. I think men are fixers. So if they see a problem, they want to sort it out. Right? If they see an issue, they want to sort it out. You can't sort out a child with special needs. Mothers, they're nurturers. They're like, okay, once they've accepted the fact, this is my child, this is what I have to deal with, I have to do everything in my power to make sure that they have everything they need. I have to do everything in my power to make sure that they're okay. So mothers tend to be more emotionally resilient than the dads when it comes to special needs children. So, but it's very, very hard. It takes a toll on their mental health. It takes a toll. So for my family right now, for my family, my friends, my spiritual family, everybody who's been there for me throughout the years, I want to say a big, big, big thank you, because I wouldn't have made it without you. You know who you are. Some of you don't even know, but the things that you've done. You know, sometimes I tell people and they're like, I don't remember them doing that. I said, I do. And I appreciate it. So leaders, please just think about people's lives. Think about the impact that, you know, these things will have. These decisions that you make, these rules that you lay down. Think about the impact that it has. You know, maybe have bigger churches that have different services. You know, my sister's church has a family services for children with parents with children, with young children. So if the children make a bit of noise, it's not so much as an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So there are things that you can do. You know, in the States, they have something called the Champions. Oh gosh, it's gone from my head. Mm-hmm. But we can put it in the link after. So there are programs that you can do, you know. In the UK, Reverend Victoria Lawrence, she is a mother. She has her daughter has autism. Her daughter's 20. She works with churches to make them accessible. She's big on equality, diversion, and inclusion. She has a charity that offers respite care to parents and caregivers. You know, she's a Nigerian herself, and she does a lot of work, tirelessly campaigning for children with autism specifically, but with special needs. And she does some work in Nigeria as well. So I'll try and get the details from her in the group as well. But yeah. So yes,
so I will check in with you again on, you know, the resources that you have that you can share with us. Bola Titoli is one. She's a group member. I think we're blessed. And yes. Can we say you are a resource? I know that you are a good resource to parents, but can we just put it out there that people can reach out to you within the group if they need support?
Absolutely.
Great. So Here you go. That's another resource here. She can actually help you or navigate the system, or just, you know, point you in ways that can be helpful from whatever country you live in. Just reach out to her. I'm glad she'll be excited to help you. And, you know, she talked a lot about leaders in the church, but we have so many people from different religions in our group, you know, Muslim leaders, you know, traditional leaders, community leaders, political leaders, you know, even leaders in the family, fathers, you know, wherever you are in that position, even at work, in the workplace, you know, those of us who are entrepreneurs, business owners, you are leaders. Whatever you can do, please do it. what like she said, your decisions and the things you do can make or mar lives and families. So please make your choices wisely, considering other people. Thank you all for watching. Those of you that have been with us for this hour-long journey, we are so glad that you joined us. Please share this video with people. Invite people to the group. Get a copy of your book on Amazon, please. It would arrive, and I would encourage that don't just get it. If you have kids around, if you have nieces, nephews, buy this and give it to them and talk to them about autism, because we have them in schools and churches everywhere. You never know where your child would come in contact with another child who has got autism. So this is a good gift idea for children. It's a good one for us to have, and just share it. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate you. I thank my guests, and I'm still going to keep thanking you for supporting me with this group and for coming to share David's story with us. Bless you. I will see you all next week. Just remember, my mental health matters.
And so does mine.
So yours, yes. So if you're watching, your mental health matters. Just take good care of it. We'll see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.